why is it that it's difficult when it comes to making friends in Thailand? I was watching this video of a Swiss guy who has lived in Thailand for 37 years, and he was suggesting that he doesn't have any Thai friends. He said that it's much easier for him. Well, I mean, not just much easier, but it's possible for him to make friends with people in Taiwan, Indonesia, Philippines. But he doesn't manage to make friends with Thai people after 37 years of living here in Thailand. When he speaks Thai, he actually's got a Thai citizenship. He's got a Thai wife. He said that it's okay to make friends with Thai women, but with Thai men, the struggle that he has is that they don't ask him any questions. There's no curiosity. And his assumption is that the only way to get into that part with them is to go out drinking with them, where they get more vulnerable. And he doesn't drink. What I want to say when it comes to this is that I agree. I can see this happening. Well, not just Thai men, but I think as a whole, Thai society is not a curious, inducive society. I think it takes years for my Thai friends, or I guess me as well, when I hang out with my Thai friends, to ask people more of like important questions, so to say. Like it's true that sometimes some Thai people also have this audacity to ask you nosy, probing questions about how much money you make per month or how much you pay for your apartment, just the first thing when you meet. But when it comes to how, what you think about certain things, how do you feel in certain situations, this is not the question that we grew up being groomed to ask so much. We aren't encouraged to ask these questions, which are important. I just want to say that I don't want to take away from the kindness and generosity that I think that Thai people have. But in this episode, I'm just gonna focus more on my own experience as a Thai person when it comes to noticing how in this society, we don't actually encourage people to ask questions. When I went to school as a young boy, also not as a young boy, in the classroom, asking questions would be sort of not really encouraged. I mean, teachers would say things like, yeah, if you have any questions, please ask. But when you start asking a few more questions, then you could see sometimes in the teachers' faces that they weren't really happy about it anymore. It felt like, well, you were taking up too much time. You are too curious. I think these days things are a bit different. But back in those days, I could notice from the teacher's point of view and from the classmate point of view as well that if you ask too many questions, it's not nice and people would start hating on you. In fact, I remember that when I went to the uni, one of the classmates, he asked questions all the time and we liked to gossip about him for asking those questions. Sorry. I noticed that as well when I was asking questions. So I'm a Thai person, but I have this quirk where sometimes I'm quite curious as a person. So I would ask questions that I think a lot of Thai people think that is too much. For example, when I was in high school, the way that the Thai school works is the opposite to, let's say, an American school where students would move from classroom to classroom for every period. In Thailand, it's actually the teachers that move around. Each hour, a new teacher with different subject would walk in. We just sat at the same location for the whole year, supposedly. After the first semester, like the first day of the second semester, I remember that our homeroom teacher asked us if we have anything to say. And I was like, yes, I have something to say. So I went in front of the classroom. And I was saying this. I was saying, okay, so it's been a whole semester that we sat in the same location. And I was sitting by the window and there was no air conditioners back then. And it was kind of hard. I was just thinking that maybe we could rotate. After I said that, I was looking at my homeroom teacher's face and my classmates' faces, and it was plainly quiet. No one added anything after that. I mean, it's been a long time ago, so I didn't remember what was said exactly, but in my impression that I have right now, it's totally silent. Nobody picked it up. Nobody wanted to continue talking about this. I was surprised because I thought that someone would have said, yeah, that would be a good idea. So we could also make, new friends in different parts of the classroom as well. There were like 50 of us. But nobody said anything. Nobody's bothered by the fact that they sit in the front all the time or in the back of the classroom all the time. Everybody's just happy. And there's no question asked, apart from my question. When I went to the uni, I remember. So I went to a law school. And at that point, we had this thing where, for our year, there would be two heads for our class. One of them is a male head, and the other one is a female head. I was thinking, like, why? Why does gender matter? Especially like at that point, there were 180 students, and 150 of them girls, and 30 is boys. And I was like, no, it's not fair. Let's say if you are a power hungry woman, you have to compete with 150 students. That's not fair. Whereas like the boy, if you are power hungry, you only have to compete with 30 of us. And I'm like, what's the point anyway? It's not like we're going to go to an onsen together and get naked. So there's no need to have two heads who are in different genders. Anyway, so I asked this question and everyone looked at me and thought that I thought too much. A disclaimer here, I went to Thai schools entirely, so this information doesn't apply to Thai kids that go to international schools. And I think this is the thing. When you ask questions in Thailand, sometimes people think you think too much. And the funny thing nowadays is that I think this is used by even non-Thais as well. Sometimes people want to keep you in this image that they thought of you. So sometimes when on this channel or outside this channel, when I was saying a certain thing that would show that I may be thinking too much, people would be like, oh, but you are Thai. You're not supposed to think so much. You are so un-Thai. But then to go deeper into this, I think we had to think about why Thai people don't like to ask questions. And I think it comes down to two things: fear and education. Thailand is such a social hierarchical place. There is this concept that governs the Thai society. And this concept is to know your place. When you know your place, you know where you are. You try to make yourself small. This concept is the opposite concept to take up space, which is the concept that is promoted in places like the West or in America, for example. And I'm not suggesting that one concept is better than the other, but I'm talking about the dark side of know your place. I think when you know your place too much, then you make yourself small and you don't dare to discover more things. And I would say that in Thai society, there's a little bit of that. But it makes a total sense because I think when you are too curious, when you ask too many questions, it could get a bit dangerous here as a social hierarchical country. There are certain laws that prohibit you from asking too many questions. When you look at the social ladders, I think people that are higher in the social ladders have more rights to ask questions. And if you are below that, if you ask too many questions, harm could come your way. As a matter of fact, sometimes I'm also a bit concerned about talking about these things as a solo YouTuber as well. A quick break. If you like this sort of episode, I would recommend you to like, subscribe to this channel. You also have the choice of supporting this channel on buymeacoffee.com/RealThailander. Alternatively, if you want to learn Thai, then I would recommend you using our app, which is called Speekeo. Go to speekeo.com and download our app to use for free. So when there is this fear, when there is this hierarchy of who could ask more or less, I think this transcends into how the educational system works. So at school, as I told you before, when you ask too many questions, people frown upon that. So when you aren't encouraged to ask many questions, you don't know how to ask questions. And it's not just academic question, is it? Because I think when you aren't encouraged to ask important critical questions academically, I think you also forget to do that emotionally. In fact, a few years ago, I have a friend who lived in Chiang Mai. And one day he told me that he needed to move back to Nong Khai. It's a city in Isan because his dad's got some illness, which is quite serious. I asked him, how do you feel about moving back to care for your dad? And he started crying. He said, no other friends, no other Thai friends has asked him any question before. All of his friends, when he told them that he was going to move back to his city to care for his dad, everyone was saying, good for you. You are a good kid. And I think this is the thing. I think in some ways, it's nice and easy. I think we have this rule in high society where if we can keep it simple, then we should keep it simple. And a question like this, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Doesn't make things more simple. It asks you individually what you want in that situation. And I think in a lot of ways, the charm of living in Thailand is that everything is so simple. There aren't so many questions asked. And most of the time, I think things work well. Things work fine. But I think this is why when you see this result of this questionnaire asking Thai people if they're lonely, 83% answer that they are lonely. I think the quest for having social harmony sometimes harm individuals. And my point is that nothing is perfect in this world. I know that in the society where individuality is promoted, people could get lonely too, and sometimes it gets too much. But my assumption here is that perhaps there's nothing that is perfect. When you go too much towards collectivism, social harmony, then you sometimes overlook individuality. And when you focus too much on individuality, then there's no social harmony. When we go one way or the other too much, there are always casualties. Now let's get back a bit to this Swiss guy story. I think, yeah, I totally agree with him that the lack of curiosity makes it harder to connect in both ways, really. Like when the person doesn't ask you a question, or when you ask a question and the person doesn't take the answer seriously as well. It hinders deep connections. I think sometimes when it comes to the interaction in Thailand and with Thai friends as well, I think, okay, I hope nobody hits me on this, but I have a feeling that on average, we have this anxious attachment style when it comes to being close to one another. We want our kids to live in a family as long as possible. We want our friends close. But when it comes to the connection, like emotional connection, we have the avoidant attachment style instead. We don't want to ask too difficult of a question. We don't want to ask too emotional of a question. So yeah, so it's like this mixture between being anxious when it comes to having your love being afar from you. But when they're close to you, then you don't pull them closer with your questions, your communications. So I have this couple friends, both of them are men. One of them is from Switzerland and the other one is from Thailand. They are a gay couple. And I noticed that when I talk to this couple, my dynamic is very different. With the Swiss guy, I could have a lot of arguments, but in a very constructive one, I could say, I think this, you think this, we disagree, and we could just respect each other's points of view. With the Thai guy, so both of them are older than me, like 10 years older. With the Thai guy, he doesn't let me, like there's no chance, there's no entrance, there's no arguments that needs to be made. The way that I communicate with him is more leisurely. We just talk about pleasant things. And if there's to be one of us who would make a controversial statement, it would be him. Because if I were to be the one who makes a controversial statement, I would get a comment such as, you are thinking too much. At one time, we were talking about The White Lotus, which is this TV series, and the third season was shot in Thailand. And somehow it's my least favorite season. And I was telling them that, okay, like there was some misinformation and I don't like the script and so on and so forth. And the Swiss guy was just having this, like debate with me and sometimes agree with me. But the Thai guy was just not having it. He just kept using this label that I should be grateful that it was shot in Thailand. It's good for tourism. You're thinking too much. They even got Lisa Blackpink, which is this famous pop icon in the world right now, who's from Thailand. But that wasn't my point at all. My point is that I was just trying to have this constructive argument to say why I like this less than the last two seasons. Whereas for his point, he sees this thing as me versus Thailand. It was as if he couldn't separate himself from the Thainess of it all. I think from his point of view, it seems like when I said that there's certain things that are not right with this third season, I was attacking Thailand, and he's Thailand, and so I attack him too. At least that's my point of view. The conclusion of this video is that, well, there's no right or wrong, isn't it, when it comes to a country operating a certain way or a society is operating a certain way. And I think in so many ways, Thailand is a charming and a very easy place to live because we value so much social harmony and how easygoing everyone is. But at the same time, I also want to question if there are casualties when it comes to this, whether we subdue certain individuality, whether maybe a lot of Thai people are now lonely because of this, whether certain connections can't take place because of this. I feel like we need to look into the stats of people who are depressed in Thailand as well. And based on this Swiss guy who lives in Thailand for 37 years, who also speaks Thai as well, who fails to make friends in Thailand, I think one has to wonder maybe there are certain things that can be changed in this society.